when he offered the job to me to be his tour manager, he flew into Vegas at the Wynn Hotel, and I met him in the casino floor. And we were sitting by like some slot machines.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Marckie P Show. Before I introduce my first guest today, the Marckie P Show has a proud sponsor, Manscaped. With the code Find Your Balls, you get 20% off and free shipping. Summer is coming, and you cannot stress this enough. No hair down there. You'll be sweaty all summer. Your bathing suit's going to look weird. You're going to have little soggy draws. You don't need that. Get rid of all the hair. Manscaped is your product. But here we are, my man, Manny Zelaya, owner of On Tour Management, real estate agent at Keller Williams Real Estate Miami, and business development manager at Anna Agency. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Marckie.
Yeah, man.
It's always a pleasure to see you, speak to you. It's been a while. It's been a really long time.
Yes, it has. It has. We were just saying like 3 years, I think, right? 2.5 years.
I'm gonna say about two or 3 years. Last time when HARDWELL played, I think he opened up the new venue there. I can't remember the
Grand.
name. The Grand. That's correct. He was the first one to play there, I believe, or was it Steve Aoki was the first?
I believe it was Aoki and then HARDWELL.
Yeah, I think Steve Aoki was like a soft open, but I don't remember.
Yeah, that was quite a time ago. But we used to spend a lot of time together. We used to spend a couple days a year together.
And we did a bus tour.
Together.
That was interesting. And then I think we did an Eric Murillo show. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if he worked at
Ocean Club. Nah, that was like in my infancy. I was kind of still not learning the ropes, but I guess you could say I was learning the ropes. But that was a fun one. I mean, we've done some cool shit together, you and I.
Yeah, we've definitely had some good times.
Yeah. What do you got going on now, man? You know, and in the quarantine pandemic era.
Well, I'll tell you. So 2020, when the whole pandemic kicked in and we all went on lockdown, I feel like I did use my time somewhat wisely. I like to say somewhat because I don't think there's really a right or wrong.
Right.
But I guess when I look back at it now, I did use my time wisely. Let's start from the beginning, I guess. One thing, so I am the owner of On Tour Management. A lot of people know me from On Tour, you know, ex-tour manager of Eric Murillo, ex-tour manager of HARDWELL, and then we tour managed a lot of individuals, you know, throughout the years of On Tour Management being around. And then I started, after HARDWELL, I started Anna Agency. The owner of Anna Agency, Anna, approached me about being the business development manager for Anna Agency. And what that consisted of was like, try to find new artists, cultivating relationships, being the boots on the ground, any rumors, any inside information, kind of like a spy, but not a spy. And it was a great job, actually. I mean, I had a credit card, I could buy people drinks, and man, it was fantastic. I was living in Ibiza in the summer. I was traveling throughout Europe in the summer, going to festivals, making friends, and just putting the name Anna Agency out there and letting them know that, hey, we're just not a big room EDM type of agency. We are a diverse agency with different genres of DJs. And little by little, we were trying to sign new artists, bring new concepts on board. And all of a sudden, the pandemic hit. So at the beginning of the pandemic, some of the things I was doing something for myself. I was calling them like wellness checks.
Yep.
And I would just email people or just text them, and I would put a hashtag wellness check, then the number 1. And it grew to at least, with some people, 15, 20. And it was just me texting people, email them, calling them to see how they were doing. Because I was telling everyone, at least the people that would listen to me at the agency, hey, you know what? This is really important to do, because if you're going to call a talent buyer or a booker in 2021, 2022, hey, can you book my DJ?
Right.
And you haven't spoken to them in 2 years, they're going to be like, fuck you.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you have like a top guy that they want or a female, then, it's a different story.
Right.
So I did that in the beginning of the pandemic. And then Rosetta Stone had like a special, $150, learn any language you want for a lifetime. You could pick whatever language. So I learned how to speak Italian because it was the closest to Spanish. So it just made sense.
Yep.
I got Masterclass. It was like a $200 lifetime membership for Masterclass, any video you wanted.
Really? Just like you get like the Gordon Ramsay ones and like all the crazy
everything.
For $200
in the beginning of the pandemic. Man, you missed out because anything. So funny that you mentioned Gordon Ramsay. I became quite the cook during the pandemic.
I've seen.
Gordon Ramsay was my biggest inspiration. So I started doing that, cooking, did the Rosetta Stone, keeping in touch with people. And then in October, I said, I think I need to come up with a plan B or C because I don't know what's going on with the music business. And I said, I'm going to use my network,
which is large.
It's a good network. I have a lot of people. I wish if there's anybody out there listening and they're young and they're starting to travel the world, maybe a tour manager or be organized with your network. Get first, last name, get emails, get phone numbers, create a database and create groups. Like these people are this, these people are that, even maybe separated by countries.
Right. And
be organized in the beginning of your career, because if you decide to do this after 10 years, wow, it's a big pasta fazool, big old mess,
right.
Big mess.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm at right now. And so I started thinking about what I'm going to do, and I decided to get into the real estate profession. I started taking the classes. Finally took the state test. It took me 3 times to take it. I'm not embarrassed to say it.
We've had to reschedule this podcast a couple of times,
we sure had.
But you had to focus, man. You had to focus on what was, necessary.
Absolutely. And for me, I really wanted to pass it. When I failed the first time, it really made me say, I'm going to do it again. And then I failed the second time. Now, it's a pass or fail type of thing. But when you fail, they give you your score. Passing score for the state test is 75. So the first time I scored a 68. Second time I scored a 72. And I know there might be some viewers out there that will say, well, technically you really got 28 wrong, right? Because the perfect score is 100. And I totally think that way, and I respect that. And then finally, the third time, I studied harder. And I'll tell you, there was no other feeling that I can explain. When I saw it, it said, congratulations, you passed the Florida State real estate exam. Wow.
Well, congrats, man.
Thank you very much.
Did you sprint through the house? Did you run around through the house?
No, I mean, I'll tell you, if there's any of the viewers or anybody ask them how hard that test is. Now I hear that the state of Florida's test is a lot harder than other states. So keep that in mind. And it's a serious study. The last time I don't know if your viewers know, I'm 48. So I haven't quite studied like that since college and high school. So it's been quite some years.
Right.
So
trying to retrain your brain, essentially.
It really, and especially, trying to keep your phone away, the social media, all the distractions. So I literally have to put my phone in the other room and put it underneath a towel and not take my Apple Watch.
That goes away.
That goes away, and I had to, and then I would put a timer, because you start studying so much. It's just too much information. There's a lot of information. And then just a couple of weeks ago, I started interviewing with brokerages here in Miami, And I decided to go with Keller Williams here in Miami because they had the best training for new agents.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, so I've only been with the brokerage for about a week now, and I have 5 renters, 1 listing, 2 buyers. And it sounds like a lot, but you got to keep refilling all this information, because once you get then you see it's constant. You got to keep filling up the bucket of leads, as they say. And but it's been amazing. I think I wish I would have started this sooner, but I feel like then if I would have started it sooner, I would have never had the network that I have now.
That's fair.
So everything really happens for a reason. And there's a young man that lives here in Miami. He used to be my roommate about 15, 16 years ago. His name is Julian Johnston. He works for the Corcoran Group here in Florida, in Miami. And I remember when he first took his got his real estate license, he was eating out of a Chef Bourdain can. We weren't making that kind of money. I was struggling at that time a little bit in the bartending scene here in Miami Beach. And fast forward today, he's the #1 agent in Miami Beach 2 years in a row. His team sells over $300 million.
That's crazy.
And he is probably the most successful guy here in Miami Beach. When I was telling brokerages that I know Julian Johnston, doors
they just fly open.
They're like, so
it brings back the network. That's like you're saying, the network that you have allows you to branch out and the doors will open for you. So 10 years of tour management, 10 years of bartending. And when I bartended in New York, Miami Beach, Chicago, and Las Vegas. And then my tour management took me all around the world. Yeah. I mean, you're a well-traveled man. That's true.
For the most part. And I haven't even sent my email blast yet to everybody that I have in my Rolodex to let them know what I'm doing.
Right.
But it just felt so natural to transition into this field. I like talking. I like meeting people, passing information. And just this week, I met somebody in the bathroom. I'm not kidding you. I was in the SLS hotel in the bathroom. This guy was talking about that he's thinking about buying a home. Some guy from Ohio. A pool guy, installs pools for a living. You would never think anything about it. Switch information. He's looking for a $2.5 million house.
I mean, you're off to a hot start.
So it's like things like that, man. If you have to be really a networker in this field to succeed.
Agreed. What's something that you can take from your previous employment, being a tour manager? What's stuff that you can take from that and bring into the real estate business?
For me, I think sorry about that.
No worries.
Oh, there you are.
Yep.
The attention to detail, I think, is the most important part. The attention to detail, being calm under pressure, because I think you will have maybe clients that will really push you to the extreme of like being picky, or sellers, buyers, or renters. I think you really have to be calm. You can't lose your wits about yourself. The attention to detail, I think, meaning listening to your client. A lot of times I would listen to my artist, what he was looking for, what he wanted to do, and I would listen. And it's the same thing in the real estate profession. You have to listen to what their wants and needs are. And I'm still new at this, but not new in the sense of knowing how to treat someone and making them feel special, right, giving them that attention that they deserve when I'm with them. Last year we were thinking about buying a home, my girlfriend and I, and the real estate agent would walk us into a house, leave us there while he would go outside and make phone calls and talk to other agents instead of being in the room with us. And
instead of being
around.
Present, essentially.
Exactly. He was, looking at maybe had bigger deals. So we would have nobody in there. We just walk around and it'd just be us and the seller. And right. At that time it was COVID. So it'd be nobody. And we'd just be walking around the house, just looking at things. So I think that's what I can take from my past profession and bring it into the new one now is attention to detail, you know, make the make that client or that customer feel special, regardless if it's a $150,000 house to a $5-10 million house.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, everybody gets the same treatment. That I think, that's something that I've learned from you over the course of our friendship and working together, going on tour together. You instilled in me very early on, and I credit you to this day with probably my attention to detail and treating artists a certain way. Because doing artist relations, people think it's glamorous, right? But at the same time, it's cool. Yeah, you're hanging out with a celebrity. That's great. You're hanging out with a DJ. That's great. But you're supposed to take care of those people. And you very early on taught me how to separate the two, So I think I owe you a ton of why I'm so good at what I do to you.
No, thank you. And, I learned a lot of things in the beginning of my career with a DJ that unfortunately passed away on September 1st of last year, named Eric Murillo. I'll give your audience a little bit of background. He was the gentleman that gave me my first opportunity in the tour management business. We used to be really good friends before that. We used to hang out. We used to go to parties together, get drunk, whatever, kid does in their late 20s, early 30s. And just to give your audience a little insight, when he offered the job to me to be his tour manager, he flew into Vegas at the Wynn Hotel. I met him in the casino floor. And we were sitting by like some slot machines. And he told me what the job entailed. And he said, so you want to try it out? And I was like, sure, I'll try it out for a year. And we're like, all right, cool. You start tomorrow. Shook hands. So as I'm walking away.
The art of the handshake deal.
Yeah. And then as we shook hands, he was going to go back to his room, wherever he was at, whatever he was doing in that hotel at the time. He calls me back. He said, Manny, come here, come back here. So I come back and he puts his hand out and I put my hand, he shakes my hand and he holds my hand. And he gives me this look like this. From this day forward, I am no longer your friend. You are my employee and I am your employer. And I start like laughing, get out of here. What are you talking? He said, no, I'm not fucking around. I'm being serious, he says to me. You are now my employee and you're my employer. I mean, I'm your employer and you're my employee. I am not your friend anymore. Do you understand that? And I was like, he said, seriously, man, do you understand that? And I said, yeah, I get it. He said, just make sure, don't forget that. I'm your employer now. And I walked away, I didn't really understand. But as my career went along, I then understood what he was trying to educate me with. Because you see a lot of young guys now working with whoever they're working with, and they get things twisted. They believe that they're friends and they get everything twisted. They get drunk with them. Maybe they want to go have sex with girls together, or or the tour manager thinks he deserves to go to these dinners with the artists and doesn't do sound checks. And they get things really twisted. And then fast forward, my relationship with HARDWELL and his management, I used to live in Ibiza. Right. And his management and HARDWELL paid for my living expense in Ibiza because that's where home base was for me, because it was more cost effective to live in Europe. And he could have had me living in Amsterdam, but he was kind enough to let me live in Ibiza. And of course, with the network that I had there, I found apartments that were cheap and were like $50,000 a month. He would always invite me on the boat. There would be these days that they would go on the boat and go out to eat at some of these restaurants in Formentera, and I would never go. His team, like his production team, they would go, but I would never go. And then one day he asked me in front of his manager, in front of Tino, Manny, why don't you ever go? And something Eric taught me, I always respected the line of employee and employer. I said to him, I can't go on your boat and have you treat me to these extravagant lunches and then 3 days later invoice you for $70 worth of long distance phone calls.
Right.
So I keep my line and I draw that line in the ground. and I don't overstep it. And I said, that's why. And sure enough, they said, that's why you're my tour manager. You're the only one that respects that position, employee and employer. So that's something I would maybe tell some of your audience to understand that and recognize that you don't need somebody always to tell you did a good job. Your paycheck at the end of the week, at the end of the month, is them telling you did a good job. I think a lot of young kids think that you got to get patted on the back. Oh, you did a great job. You did a great job.
Right.
Your paycheck that means you did a good job.
Yeah, that's great advice too. I mean, separating, business and pleasure obviously is something that's very hard for people to do. And to have the discipline to be able to do that, makes you the best in the business. There's no getting around that. So you meet Eric Murillo. How do you get like looped up no words. How do you get locked in with Eric Murillo?
Well, like I said, we were friends already from the past. He grew up in Weehawken, New Jersey, and I grew up in Jersey City, New Jersey. So I was a bartender at Club Space Miami, the original Club Space. So like 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, around that time. And we met one day across the bar, and he was big, but he wasn't like big yet, but he was big, but not as big as he was about to be in a few more years. And we hit it off. I exchanged phone numbers with him, and he sometimes would respond, sometimes wouldn't. And I remember getting really mad. And I was like, "Mom, I don't know about this guy, man. I try to befriend him. He just sometimes blows, And she said to me, if you think this guy is worth being a friend, keep messaging him. He'll open up to you one day, Manny. You're very likable." And slowly but surely, he started answering. He would come over my house, would eat Chinese food, play Madden till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I got into the bartending scene. And then I moved to New York to bartend at a club called Crowbar, and I had some bar manager experience. I was never like the bar manager of the club. I was always like the head bartender, the assistant to the bar manager.
Yep.
And Eric was going to open up Pasha, New York with Eddie Dean. And Pasha, New York was about to open up. And I asked Eric if he would do me a favor and see if I could interview for the bar manager position. And man, there was no reason I should have gotten hired for that job, because I was way in over my head. I mean, normally guys start off, small venues, and then they jump into the big, massive clubs. And I went from a guy that really didn't have any experience to a bar manager of a mega club of like 20 bartenders, 5 bar backs, 6 to 10 bus boys, 3 dishwashers, making schedules, ordering alcohol, making sure that my liquor cost was down. And I'm like, what did I do? What did I do?
Yeah.
And I lasted for about a year doing that job. And they hired a new bar manager. I told the owner, Eddie Dean, I don't want to do this anymore. I hate my life. I think I'm going to hang myself.
I fucking hate this.
I hate my life. But when the new bar manager came in and he did a liquor cost of all the dry goods and everything without doing anything shady, back in those days, I'm not going to say, we never did anything like that at Pasha, but there were people,
Isn't Pasha gone? Is Pasha gone now?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's been out of business now for a few years now. My liquor cost was only 14%. And that was by not doing anything. It was straight up what you ordered, that's what you got.
Right.
So I was really proud of that number because I thought it was going to be higher. I thought it would be like 18, 14. Anything under 15 is respectable, especially a mega club. So my friendship started solidifying like that. I wound up going to Tao, Las Vegas. I started working at Tao, Las Vegas as a bartender. And one night, after like 17 months living there, I went at the Spearmint Rhino, blew all my money.
Spearmint Rhino, that place.
On strippers.
Strippers everywhere.
And I called Eric to tell him, hey, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go back home, because he got me the job at Tao, so I felt I should tell him that I was gonna leave. And He said, hold on, I think I have a job for you. And then he offered me that job. I lasted 5 years with him. And I resigned working for Eric on a Friday at 3:15 p.m. for my own personal reasons. And then that whole weekend, kid you not, I was like crying. I was like, nobody's going to hire me. And then Monday morning at 9:45 in the morning, I know the times very well.
These are two very important moments in your life and your career.
At 9:45 in the morning on a Monday, I see a Dutch number calling me. I pick up. It's a sweet lady, sweet voice. And she asked to speak to me. And I said, this is he. And I said, who's this? She said, I'm the manager of Hardwell. I hear that you're looking for a tour manager position, a job. And I said, actually, I am. She says, how would you like to be Hardwell's tour manager? And I said, sure. She says, what are your requirements? I told her, is that it? And in the back of my mind, I go, fuck. Fuck. I should ask for more. But you know what?
A pound of 20s.
You know, and then, and just so your audience knows, it wasn't mine to have at that point. She says, we're going to interview a few other ones, but you're the first one that has first dibs. Within 6 hours of Hardwell being with me when I first had the opportunity to work with him, he called his boss, his manager, canceled the other guys. This will be my tour manager. That's
awesome. And he's a great guy. And he's a guy who, we love him here in Boston at Big Night and with Tim and all the boys. So it's great that, two really incredible human beings get to meet each other through a circumstance of, what you went through with Eric and then, what he went through with his former TM. For you two to link up, create this absolute super team. It's incredible.
And it seemed like it was always meant to happen, because there was one year that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that set that everyone raves about, Hardwell at Ultra.
The Ultra set.
2013. Well, let's just say.
I still play that set, by the way, like once a week.
A lot of people do.
A lot
of people still do. So a lot of people don't know. Eric played after him, after Hardwell that day on main stage. And that was a time that they didn't do like the spin of the stage. It was like one long table, one guy's here, the other guy's here. So Eric had this gear that I had to set up, these Ramona filters, his sirens, everything. And I'm a tall guy, and I didn't want to be in the view of the camera, but I have to set up his gear. So I'm trying to do it as be
discreetly as possible.
Frame. Exactly. But I can't really, you're still going to see me. So I set up Eric's filters, and this little lady comes up to me and starts yelling at me, which happens to be Hardwell's manager, Anna.
Wow.
And she starts yelling at me like, how dare I do this? And I go, time out. I'm just the employee. You yell at him.
Right.
And I point that at Eric. So then she goes, oh, really? No, she starts, going at it with him. And Eric was always very charismatic with the ladies.
Yeah.
So he diffused that situation quickly. So that was my first interaction with them. So then one year, fast forward, the following year, I'm going to say, we're like in, I think like somewhere like in Sweden or Switzerland, somewhere in Switzerland. And Eric is playing. And he's about to end his set. And I didn't know Hardwell was playing after him. So Hardwell walks on stage to get ready for his set.
Oh boy.
And Eric is going like this. And the crowd is going nuts. But I mean like fucking nuts. So Eric leans over to me and goes, man, they really like me over here, don't they? And I go, I actually think it's the kid behind you that they're going nuts for. And he goes, who's that? And I go, that's Hardwell. He goes, who? I go, Hardwell. Who? I go, Hardwell. So he turns around, he shakes his head. And when he shakes his hand, the crowd goes nuts. And I actually took a picture of them. I posted it on my Instagram before. and I took a picture of both of them. It was the first and only time they ever took a photo together. And when I look back at it, it just gives me goosebumps to think
I have
that
goosebumps right now.
that it all became full circle. Then a year later, I started working for Hardwell.
That's crazy.
1 year later.
It's crazy how your worlds met and collided, just like that. Is like the universe just telling you right there at that moment, hey, like this is your past and this is your future. That's pretty cool. Where were you when Robert Hardwell becomes the #1 DJ?
So I was in Miami. He becomes #1 guy. And I go, whoa, I am now working with the #1 DJ in the world. And I know that maybe some of your audience as well may say whatever their comments are about that DJ mag, but it still had some credibility, I think, when Hardwell was #1, even when he became #2, and even when he lost the third year, and without saying any names, someone else took it by
manipulating the system, essentially.
I won't really
you don't have to say it. You don't have to say it, but I can.
But regardless, yeah. When that happened, it reminds me of a series on South Park where it's an episode where it's kind of like a spoof on Bill Belichick. I misinterpreted
the rules. Yeah.
I misinterpreted the rules, and good for them.
Right.
Good for them. But so that's where I was in Miami the first time I heard about it. And man, that year that I gigged with Hardwell, I worked really, really hard. And after that year, his manager sat me down with Hardwell and Hardwell's father, because his father was his business partner, not his business partner, but his financier, whatever you want to call it, the person that told him how to handle his fortune.
Right.
And they were like, you've done such a good job for us. They wound up almost doubling my pay. They gave me business class seats for the rest of my career.
I mean, that's the way people should be treated. If you do the job right and you get the job done, you should be treated accordingly,
Yeah. And I'll tell you, it did cause some type of animosity between me and his crew, because his crew would fly economy. And I always felt bad, but it's not my problem. Not that I don't want to say it that way. It's not that it's not my problem, but if you have a problem, speak to the boss.
Right.
I'm not the boss. I'm not the one. And then finally, some of them did ask him, and he's like, "Who's the first one up? Manny. Who's the last one that gets up? Goes to bed? Manny. Who's the one that makes sure that I don't leave my backpack? Who's the one that makes sure that I'm always up for the gig? Who's the one that makes sure everything's always right for us? Who's the one?" And when they kept saying Manny, 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 it stopped. But eventually myself and management spoke to Hardwell, and he started flying them economy plus, and things got a little better, because when you do 6-8 shows in a row in Asia, and you're a guy that's maybe 6'1", you want to have a little bit of
leg room,
leg room and some comfort, so you could do a good show.
Yeah. So that leads into, the next question I have for you. What are some of the, highs and lows of traveling on the road? And what are some of the difficulties that you've run into in like other countries, or where have you had the best reception?
I think difficulties, I didn't really have many. We had a really good team. I was already pretty well experienced to understand, visas, flights. I feel if you have problems on the road, it was your lack of preparation. It was your lack of seeing problems before they came. You, as a good tour manager, And also, I think sometimes I could say I was a production manager. I may have not had the qualifications that some production managers have now, but I believe also there's different levels of production management. There's some guys that know all the technical things, and then there's different guys. So there's some variations of production management. And I feel like if you prepared properly, you didn't really have any issues on the road. And if there were issues, if something did ever come up, knowing how to be calm and knowing how to think on the fly and not overreacting and getting all flustered, because if you get flustered and you get all like worked up, your team sees that and then they become scared or nervous.
Right.
And I learned that also from my past employer. You know, he instilled in me for many years a phrase, handle your motherfucking business.
I love that.
And I learned that. I'll never forget that. I learned another one on the road. It might have been the same ultra stage that I'm talking to you about with Hardwell and Eric. P. Diddy.
Yeah, this is my favorite. I think this is my favorite quote of all time.
P. Diddy came on stage and he said, "Baby, give Diddy a bottle of water for me, why don't you?" So I gave him a bottle of water. He opens it up. He douses himself with water, puts his hand on my shoulder. "Baby, how you doing, man? You good?" And I just worked a certain amount of shows. You know, I did live the night before, so I'm a little tired. So I go, "Yo, man, I'm so tired, man." And he goes, "What the fuck did you say to me, man?" And I said, "I'm tired." "Yo, motherfucker, do you know what rhymes with tired, motherfucker?" And I go, "No." "Fired, motherfucker. Don't ever tell another man that you're tired, because he'll be the motherfucker that'll steal your job away." And I swear to you, never, ever, ever did I ever say I was ever tired ever again.
Yeah,
while I was on the road.
I've since adopted that phrase, and I refuse to use that word as well. And that is something that you told me when we were on the road. And that lives in my head for free. Like, you own a piece of real estate in my head with that quote.
Thank you.
What
I can't.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I can't take credit for it. I learned that from Diddy, and I never tell, and I try to instill that in people when people are working and they tell me they're tired. I said, don't ever tell that to the wrong person, because they'll be the one knocking on the door trying to steal your job when you least expect it.
That's true. That's very true. What have been some of your favorite countries to work in?
Oh man, I'll be honest. South America comes into mind, like the energy, like in Brazil, Chile, Mexico, just to say a few countries in South America, Colombia, and then in Europe, I have to say Spain, like Ibiza, Paris, Amsterdam. Oh man, when you go to Asia, Tokyo, Korea, China, there's some crazy energy out there. They love Hardwell.
Yeah.
They love Eric too in South America.
Where are the fans the craziest?
Argentina is pretty up there. Brazil is pretty up there. South America is pretty up there, like Chile. And they went nuts when Hardwell became #1 the first time. I dealt with some serious hairy situations out there.
Just like fans just being crazy and just like running up on the bus. Probably seen you guys at the airports, right?
Over that, but I can't really remember the day, but we're worried. But there was a time that we were going to the gig. I think it was Chile, man. We were going to the gig, and these organizers of this event didn't have the proper barricades. They had like those barricades that you see like at like parades and
like
something.
A bike rack, essentially.
Barricades. Yeah, those. And man, these fans jumped and then they just kicked like I'm going to say like 1,500 to 2,000 people surrounded Hardwell's truck, and they started shaking it. And I had to like get out of the car with the security in Spanish to move away so we could go into the venue, or we were going to have to take off. And not that the crew was worried, but it was, if they wanted to get crazy, I don't know. I don't know what we would have done, but we may have had to hit the gas and maybe hurt people to get out of there.
That's crazy.
Because it was that crazy.
That is wild.
But yeah, and that's definitely, I started realizing in the beginning that I needed to start having police escorts with me.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a scary part too. Like needing police escorts has to be kind of, just scary in general.
Yeah. No, some people like it. They think it's fun, all the lights are on, but it's definitely not fun because you're going really fast to keep up with the police officer, and if somebody makes a bad move, someone could get really hurt.
Yeah,
it's not always really that much fun for me because I think when you have police escorts, you bring actually more attention to yourself.
Yeah, that's also really true.
That's just
I think we lost him.
That's my take on it.
Give me 1 second.
Me?
Yeah, I think we do. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for a second you were frozen. I thought we lost you.
Oh no. But I think those are the countries that I really liked. I think I may have answered your questions. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, you absolutely answered my question for sure. So what have you done, over the course of the pandemic to kind of keep yourself, healthy and mentally strong?
On Thanksgiving, there was 14 of us that we went to Thanksgiving to one of my friend's houses. She rented a house, and we were doing it outside, so we wouldn't be indoors like, Dr. Fauci was saying,
right.
Stay outside. And out of 14 of us, 12 of us caught COVID. I was one of those 12.
Oh my.
And thankfully, I didn't get a bad reaction, or it didn't affect me as bad. I'm not going to sit here and troll the virus. It's a BS virus, no, because I know a lot of people that it affected differently, and it's killed a lot of people. But for me and the other 12 people, it wasn't too bad. So, like my girlfriend, she lost her sense of smelling, but she regained it, thankfully. But when I caught the virus, I say, you know what? I think it's time for me to focus on my health again. So I stopped smoking pot. I didn't want to drink anymore. So now, yesterday, I made 4 months sober.
Congrats.
Been working out, cycling a lot. Thank you. Cycling is a big part of my life now. I enjoy it a lot. Working out. I'm a big advocate on cholesterol. I think a lot of men, as they get older, they don't realize that high cholesterol is a secret killer. It leads to heart attacks, stroke, and whatsoever. So I'm a real big advocate, speaker of watching your cholesterol. I don't eat dairy because that carries a lot of cholesterol. I have been eating a lot of red meat lately because I'm mastering this. Yeah, I've been mastering this technique called sous vide. And for all your audience that doesn't know what sous vide is, it's a machinery that cooks meat in like a bath water to a certain temperature, and then you sear it either on a cast iron pan, or you could sear it with a torch. So I've now upgraded to start searing my meat with a torch.
I've seen that. You just bust out a flamethrower in your kitchen.
Yeah, the other day the fire alarm went off. So I had to do it outside on the balcony. So I've been mastering that technique. So that's something else, another thing that a friend of mine gave me that as a Christmas gift. And now I'm all about sous vide. For any of your fans that don't know, go to sous vide everything on YouTube and you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big I'm really big into it now.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing to make?
For me, one of the first things I learned how to make was a Gordon Ramsay whole chicken with a chorizo cannellini stuffing. And
That
that's
sounds
one of the,
bomb. That sounds so good.
it is good. And I started learning how to cut the queen of all meats, which is called picanha.
Yeah.
And I learned how to do that. And I'm pretty much all the steak, any steak that you can think of, I can now cook sous vide. And just for the record, sous vide is a real safe method to not overcook your meat. And also, since you cook it for such a long period of time under low temperature, it makes the meat even more tender.
That is, I mean, watching you cook in this little, you'll fire it up. You take a picture and it'll say like, ready for bath time. And it's just like, in goes the steak.
Yeah, so it's definitely been interesting. And what I've learned also is with cooking, you build good relationships this way. And I've been invited, and I don't want to say random, but I have been inviting people that I would normally never speak to, be like, oh, I see you're in town. Come over. Let me cook for you. And then you cook for them. And now you are like good friends because you open your door, you open your home to them.
Right.
You feed them. And they see what you're doing, then they're intrigued by your method, your technique. I just had last week the tour manager, production manager of the Chainsmokers, Clancy, over my house.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, so I had some other people come in here. This week I have Luis Diaz, the talent buyer, Pasha Ibiza, will be at my house. And every week I just try to have somebody new. My girlfriend cooks the sides. We always do vegetables or something, and I do the protein.
I mean, dude, cooking, I've noticed that a lot of people over quarantine, over the last year, not even just guys that are DJs and stuff, because everybody seems to be cooking. It's just people they're in the house. They don't want to do takeouts 5 nights a week, so they're cooking themselves good food. And like a lot of DJs, a lot of people that I've had on this show have taken up cooking in their, in this over the course of the last year.
Definitely. I've seen some of the guys like Dubfire. He's really a big chef, foodie type of guy. I fell in love with another chef this past quarantine. His name is Paul Powell. He won season 14 of Top Chef. So he owns a restaurant called Powell here at the Fiena Hotel. And he also owns a sushi restaurant called Uchi. It started in Houston. You would never think that they would have a good sushi restaurant in Houston, Texas, but they do. And then he just opened up here in the Wynwood district here in Miami. And it's amazing. Probably one of the best sushi restaurants I've ever eaten at in my entire life.
I love sushi. I'm a big sushi guy. My hometown spot, Kiyomi, just electric. Just so good. I mean, raw people get freaked out by sushi, right? They're just like, oh, the raw fish, it's too fishy. Well, if you're eating it and it's too fishy, that's bad. That's bad.
No, absolutely.
Your sushi should not smell weird.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing that I did in the pandemic that really made me a better person this year. My girlfriend and I drove a lot to New Jersey, Houston, South Carolina, Charleston, like New Orleans. To put it in perspective, we leased a new car in September 1st, give or take. To date, we almost have 13,000 miles on it.
You're just traveling.
And while I was doing that, I got into audiobooks because I figured kill two birds, one stone. So whether you want to call it read or listened, I listened to Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain.
What a genius he is, man.
Wow,
sad.
What a great book. And the best part about that audiobook, okay, if you don't know this, about the Kitchen Confidential with Anthony Bourdain, he's the narrator. So it's him that's speaking his story.
That's even better.
So it's even cooler. I read I listened to one of the best books I ever listened to in my life. Sapiens, about how us humans evolved. Unbelievable book. Listened to another book. I did 6 in total. I can't remember each one of their names right now offhand, but I listened to 6 in total. Listen to another one that, a lot of people think that the planet is going to be over compromised by too many humans. But in fact, now this is one guy's take on it, but I kind of agree with him. I don't think we're going to have that problem. I think the planet is actually losing humans because people aren't having as many children as they used to. Especially women in other countries, they're starting to realize that education is better than having 5, 10 kids like they used to have, let's say in Asia or in India. They're starting to be more educated. Before, people would have 2, 3 kids, but now they may only have 1 or they don't have any.
That's an interesting take.
There's another book that I'm listening to named Andrew Yang. I think he's going to be. I think he'll be mayor of New York City. He talks a little bit about something called the J curve in technology, and as you see right now, a lot of people don't see it right now. But you see how we have autonomous cars.
Yep.
Pretty soon, Tesla is going to have a car that will drive you without any problems.
Can't wait.
So if you think about that, though, what's going to happen? No more taxi drivers. No more Uber drivers.
Oh yeah.
There's another restaurant in Tokyo that all the sous chefs it's automated. So there's no humans. So one day there won't be any more sous chefs. Someday there's not going to be any, technology is going to take the job. Someday, how Tesla now is making a truck.
Yep.
And this other company is making a truck. Pretty soon there's not going to be any more truck drivers.
That's a scary thought.
So what's going to happen to these people? We're going to have a world of the haves and the have-nots. So Andrew Yang is saying that government should start paying humans a certain amount of money a month to keep everyone the same. If not, we're going to have a really big problem in 20 years.
Yeah, I think there's he was on Joe Rogan or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Did he run for president? Is that the same Andrew Yang?
He tried to, but
yeah.
It didn't go. But now he's running for, I think he's going to run for mayor of New York City. And I'm almost positive. I feel that he's going to win.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of positive stuff going for him. I do remember there's a name for it, like global something income. Right?
There is.
There's a name for it. It's going to elude me. Sam's just going to put it in right here. It's globalized something income.
Right now I was looking for my phone. Where's my phone? I forget that I'm talking to you right now on it.
You're on it. Yeah. I think it's a great idea to have some sort of general monthly income, especially as, like you say, people will be losing jobs,
Yeah. It's happening little by little. People don't realize that these automated cars, autonomous cars, that's what's going to happen. And Tesla is leading the way with all of this. So, I think by 2030, each car manufacturer has to be almost full electric, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I remember they were trying to pass that, right?
Yeah. So that's definitely going to be the way of the future. And pretty soon, think about this. Tesla eventually wants to have a car that can drive 1 million miles without you ever getting your first service.
I saw that. I saw that.
And not only that, they want to make a car probably in 5 years, I would say like 10 years, maybe a little longer, that you will only have to pay $5,000. And that car could go 1 million miles.
I mean, Elon Musk is a wild man.
He is going to destroy the automotive industry. So then think about how many more people's lives will be impacted. There'll be no more car salesmen. There'll be no more mechanics because there's no moving parts in a Tesla.
That's wild. My mind is completely blown. I've always thought about Tesla as a positive thing. I've always been really, really like Tesla. I love Tesla. I need a Tesla. But now that I think about it, I don't.
They're going to be like Darth Vader, the Death Star of this world.
He's trying to open up like his own city, right? Called Starbase in Texas.
I'm sure he's going to do that and everything else. And I'm sure he's going to have his minions that going to run the world when he dies. And he's going to have like a plan how they're going to execute this.
There's no way he dies. He finds a way to live forever. He absolutely finds a way to live forever.
He'll probably get like a fake heart. You know, it'd be like Darth Vader by the end of it all.
Literally going to be just a robot. I mean,
every time I hear him speak when he's walking up to the podium, they should play dun, 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 dun,
Star Wars
dun, dun, dun,
Imagine.
dun, dun,
he's gonna watch it. He's gonna watch this. He's gonna steal your idea.
I'm not kidding, man. But you know, he's got definitely a person I wouldn't mind wanting to meet. I think in my top 3 people that I would want to meet, Anthony Bourdain is number 1.
Yeah, he's definitely in the top 3 for me.
I would have loved to sat down with him and just had a beer with him. I think Elon Musk would be one of them. And what's the guy that passed away from Apple?
Steve Jobs.
I would have liked to have met him. Those are my top 3.
Those are all geniuses in their own right. You know, I mean, Bourdain is just food legend, documentarian. Everything about him. His voice was fantastic. Elon's changing the world as we know it. And, you know, Apple, Steve Jobs created the way that we basically view life now, through a lens. You know what I mean? Through a black mirror.
Absolutely. So those would be probably the top 3 guys that I would have loved to have met or like to meet in the future, aspire to meet one day.
I have a feeling that you're going to stumble across Elon Musk somewhere in downtown Miami. You're just going to walk by him one day. It's going to happen.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I've been pretty lucky in my life. I had the opportunity when I was like in my early 20s to smoke a joint. Well, back then they call it smoke a blunt with Tupac Shakur. And I didn't. I passed up on it.
Wow.
I had the pleasure of meeting Robert De Niro. I had the pleasure of meeting Clint Eastwood. I've met some celebrities with Eric Murillo and Hardwell. But I think out of all the celebrities I ever met, I have to admit, meeting Robert De Niro was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And I also imagine that Clint Eastwood just smells like cigarette butts. He looks like the Marlboro Man, right?
Funny enough, he was smoking a cigar at the Nobu in LA, and back then that's where I saw him, and I walked over to him and I said I was a big fan of his. And when I met Robert De Niro, there was a writer at the time in New York. I must have been like a teenager, late teens, early 20s. There was a famous writer for Vanity Fair named George Wayne. And he was talking to Robert, and he was calling him Bobby. And I kicked him in the foot, like, introduce me. And then he said, Bobby, let me introduce you to a good friend of mine, Manny. So he introduces me to him. And I said, oh, man, I'm a big fan of you. He said, well, yeah, what's your favorite movie? And stupidly, I don't know, to me, it's still one of my best movies with him, Cape Fear.
Okay.
I said Cape Fear. And then he says, is that really your favorite movie? And then he goes, you're gonna be okay. And he goes, you're gonna be okay in life, kid.
That's good. I mean, you've got some wild stories. I mean,
no, man, I've been around a little bit. I've been very blessed to been at the right place at the right time. Sometimes can't even tell you. I sometimes still can't believe what I've been blessed with.
You're gonna be at the Wynwood Walls with your girlfriend, and all of a sudden, some guy's gonna walk up behind you. It's gonna be Elon Musk. He's gonna be like, "Hey, Manny, I heard you were talking about me on the Marckie P show," and then you know, there you go.
I think for me, my next goal in life for me is to be a good human, like be a good person, pass the knowledge that I've been blessed to give it to the young youth, and that to me is my priority right now, is being the best person I could be. I used to think it was all about making money, 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 money. I want to be rich. I want to be, the old Scarface, first comes to
Yeah.
power, then comes and all that kind of stuff, because you think that's how life is. And I realize now that family, passing knowledge on to the young. And one of my biggest aspirations now is to one day be the number one broker, number one real estate agent in Miami, like that kid Julian.
I mean, you're on the way.
Really, I hope so. Still got a long way to learn, long way to go.
Yeah, I mean,
it's only been a week.
You've got your head on straight though, man. You're locked in, and when I asked you to do the podcast, you were like, "Hey, I will do the podcast, but I've got to lock in on this real estate stuff," and you did. And once you put you're a guy that once you put your mind to something, you just nail it. You just nail it.
Thank you. I'm like that. Yeah, I'm like that with my the working out, the physical aspect of it, and definitely been trying.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell, man, and you're growing your hair out. So I haven't seen you with long hair. You used to have the nice, what is it called, like faux hawk thing? No, was that what it was called?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you call it, but it definitely was a haircut that it's made for the young. It wasn't really for me.
You're still young.
But I was hanging out with the number one DJ in the world, so I kind of had to have like a youthful appearance, appearance.
Yeah, I mean, you were always rocking some J's or something. No, you were kind of close.
Still rock the J's. So I think even now when in the real estate profession, I'll be wearing suits, but I'll be wearing Jordans.
That is a flex. That is a flex. You get out of the car and you're wearing a suit with a pair of J's. I mean, that's how I want to be seen. I want to be the guy that wears Jordan 1s, like the blue, black, red, black, whites, black on blacks. I don't want to be, and I want to wear a suit with Jordans. You're just going to sell all of, you're just going to sell all of my, you're going to get out of your car and you're just going to be like, look, I'm just going to sell you all of Miami. Here's all of it.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
So we have a segment on the show. A previous guest sends me questions throughout the course of the week. And we fire them off, and Sam has a microphone. Young Sam, say hello.
Hello.
Can you hear Sam?
Yeah. I think Sam may need to put a little bass in his voice because I barely heard him.
Oh, damn.
How's this?
A little bass in your voice. Takes a shot at Sam. I love it. All right. So the first question is, would you rather have a horse be your only form of transport or never be able to drive over 10 miles an hour?
Never be able to drive over 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm the same way. You could throw me in a Lambo and just do like 9 miles an hour, and I would feel great.
It's back to the old saying. Remember the turtle and the hare?
Yep.
And the turtle won. You're gonna get there eventually. So
might as well look good doing it.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Sam. What do you got?
Never drive over 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's way cooler to have a car than a horse.
Yeah, you're a car guy. He's got a nice Subaru? No, BMW.
BMW.
He drives a really nice BMW. They pay him a lot here. He drives a very nice Beamer. The second question is, name a mythical creature that you wish was real.
Pegasus.
Whoa. That was not what I was expecting.
That's a good answer.
That is a great answer. I was not expecting a Pegasus.
Neither was I.
Okay.
If it wouldn't be that second, all right. Funny you say this because so back when I was like in grammar school, we used to call each other on three-way, and then the next person would call someone else, and then we'd have a whole bunch of people on the line. So there was a kid named Pablo Terral, I'll never forget his name. And we asked him, like, he didn't really know all this, the mythological, whatever you want to call these creatures, right? So I believe the half man, half horse is a matador.
Yep.
I'm not sure. And then I said, oh yeah, you think you know it all? What's a Pegasus? He goes, man, fuck you, man. I know what that is. That's a half man, half pig, man. We're like, oh, dying, man.
Half man, half pig.
Yeah, man. But I think for me, and that mythical type of stuff, a Pegasus would be so cool, man.
That's great. So mine,
I know some people.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was thinking, some people might say unicorn or whatever, but I just think, man, like imagine you're flying with the horse with the wind, and you pull up to the restaurant and you trot up in the horse that's closes its wings. Man, that's like the Lamborghini with the wings.
Oh,
up
the
it.
gull wing doors.
That's like pimp, man.
I love that. I love that answer. I'm going with the Loch Ness Monster.
Okay.
Because first of all, I think dragons are cool. I'm a Game of Thrones guy. I love dragons, right? But every time you see a picture, it's like a dragon in the water, and I'm like, wow, aqua dragon. This is where we're going. And I just want to believe it so bad. It's something that's been stuck with me since I was a kid. Because all those, Loch Ness sighting. It's like, is it real? Is it a floating log? It's like, I don't care if it's a floating log or not. I want to believe this.
Of course.
Go ahead, Sam.
I really had to think about this one because I was like, I wasn't really up to date or like know a lot about mythical creatures.
Yep.
So I'd probably have to say like either Bigfoot or like the Yeti.
Bigfoot or a Yeti. I mean, you're sitting with me. I'm essentially Bigfoot.
Bigfoot's right here.
So I'm not mythical, but I'm right here.
I like it.
So the fourth one is, if you could invent a holiday, what would it be and how would you celebrate it?
If I was to invent a holiday, that's a tough one, man. I really don't know. I'll let you go first.
I got one.
Go ahead, you go first.
Chicken wing holiday.
But there might be one already with that, because I think I saw somebody post like a buffalo wings type of holiday.
I would just be like, you get a 6-piece chicken wing for free, and a trip to the bathroom for free if you just don't like chicken wings that well. But
if I had to think of my own holiday, man, you really got me on this one.
I stumped you.
I really don't. Yeah, you stumped me. I mean, I'm a real big cheeseburger guy. So maybe a cheeseburger day where all cheeseburgers are free.
I love that.
Or, I'm a cheeseburger guy. That's got to be my real guilty pleasure, is having a really good cheeseburger.
Big Mac?
Not like for the fast food. I mean, I prefer to have like Shake Shack, or in California they have, I don't know if they're still around now after the pandemic, Umami Burger.
Yeah.
But it's more like it's a sit down type of place. But they had, here in Miami, they have a thing called Burger Bash, and all the big burger joints come here and they have like a competition. And I remember the year that I went, Shake Shack, I believe, won the competition, but it was a burger that they don't sell at the burger place, one that they came up, and I'll never forget. It was really good.
It was fire. I love burgers.
So I'd say if I could invent a holiday, a burger day.
Okay. Sam, what do you got?
National Do Nothing Day.
National Do Nothing Day.
Sometimes you just need a day to do nothing.
Okay. So you have to just not do anything?
I think there's a lot of people in this world that actually do nothing.
that already exists for 30% of the population.
And that might exist for a lot of people here in Miami already.
I mean, you guys in Miami right now, you guys are out of control. You guys are out of control.
I'm going to touch on that a little bit, because I have to get going soon. But I'm going to touch on this for your audience to understand this a little bit, and even for yourself. I think what's going on right now is, first of all, foremost, for the politician, it's a hard time. The mayor, whoever is taking care of the city. But I think when people have debates, and this is like a debate kind of thing, people have to sometimes take themselves out and put themselves in the shoes of the other person. So if you put yourself into the shoes of all these spring breakers that took their hard-earned money to come here, or took their Uncle Sam check of $1,400 to come here.
Stimmy.
If they took their money to come here, and then all of a sudden you tell them, we're going to lock everything down, but if you go 5 blocks west, everything is open.
Right.
And this isn't about black, brown, white, yellow skin. I just think that too many people make decisions without really understanding the other person's idea or why they're upset. Also, I saw a meme today that if Ultra and WMC were here, then hotel rates would be really skyrocketing, like really high. And then a lot of the young kids wouldn't even be able to afford to come here.
Right.
And again, airlines that are selling $50 tickets to come here, I don't think it was a bad thing. I just feel like there was nothing for these kids to do. Okay, yeah, there's some that are going nuts and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. I get that. But that's not all of them.
Right.
And I live here. I ride my bike where they're at. Yeah, it's a lot of people on the streets, but you know what? There's nothing for them to do. There's no clubs to go to.
Yeah.
There's no activities to go to. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And then they're extending the curfew now till April 12th to close at 8 p.m. All businesses need to close at 8 p.m. on that strip.
That's South Beach, right?
So, no, that's not just South. That's only Ocean Drive.
Oh, okay.
So if you walk 2-3 blocks over and there's a restaurant there, he's allowed to be open, but I can't.
That's
because
wild.
I'm on Ocean Drive. But that's okay. And then all these kids that bought that paid for hotels and all this, now what do? They can't do anything. There's nothing for them to do. So yeah, last night they went wilding out last night, and rightfully so. I think there could have been a better way to have done this, but because of his constituents and the people that have big homes in South Beach, he got pressured into doing something, and now look what he made matters worse.
Made it worse. Yep, right. Yeah. I mean, that's not the way to be. Like, why take something that's we're already in a shitty situation, right? Why take the situation to make it worse?
And if you think too about the African Americans that are here, they had a terrible 2020. A lot of people, a lot of police officers, you know, whether people want to admit it or not, killed a lot of young African Americans last year. The whole Black Lives Movement, and then they come here to let go, to release some of this energy that they've had for the whole year. And then the mayor of Miami Beach does this. How do you think they're going to act?
Right.
So I think that's why I feel that a lot of people that are talking on social media saying really negative and really nasty things, when you have a debate, you have to try to put yourself in the other person's shoes to understand where they're coming from, and just do it for 5 minutes. And then after you do that, now you could have your debate, and now you could try to understand and come to a common ground.
Agreed.
And I think a lot of people don't know how to finagle that, don't have the finesse to do that yet.
I agree. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And the last one here before you go, what was the first CD or cassette that you owned?
The first cassette that I own has to be, well, brother, I'm a little older than you.
A couple days.
It'd be a record, vinyl. My first ever record that I ever bought in my life was White Lines. Who's the rapper? White Lines going through my mind.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I can hear it.
Do you know that one?
I can hear it.
It was a blue vinyl, blue cover. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link.
So you could play it up for the audience next time or whatever. But that was my first record, and then my first cassette had to be Run DMC.
Okay, that's a great Run DMC.
I grew up in the hip hop era, so that's what I listened to. There wasn't really house music at that moment.
Yeah, that's true. Mine was shamelessly Usher CD. My Way.
Okay, I mean, listen, he was cool, man. I mean, he wasn't really what, if I was gonna go into that type of field, music would be R. Kelly.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's a wild one. He's a wild one. Masterful artist. Personally, a little crazy, but
yeah.
I mean, I was trying to get girls with the Usher stuff. I was just like singing My Way, doing little dances. I thought I was slick.
Got you.
I thought I was slick, but I was not. I was not.
Let's hear your friends
Young
over
Sam.
there.
Don't hate me, but this is before my time.
Oh boy.
I got no answer.
You got no answer? You didn't even buy a CD? You've never owned a CD?
I've never owned a CD.
You're 21?
23.
He's 23, never owned a CD.
That's a shame, man.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
And it's not him. It's a shame that this young generation will never know what it was like to go into Tower Records and to look for music,
Right.
and meet girls and meet other like-minded people that like that kind of music and that kind of thing. The unfortunate thing is with the new young generation, why I feel that they don't have social skills is because they don't have those type of moments in their life growing up. So then only these type of things, they're not nurturing. They're playing video games online, but they're not interacting with people. So they kind of become introverts, I guess, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
So it's so sad to see that, but it's definitely sad that they'll never know what it was like to buy a CD and open the cover and open up the credits.
And the lyrics.
I don't know. You could see the lyrics, who they're thanking, inside, back, and from, photos from behind the scenes. Because when you buy music now from Spotify or Apple, that doesn't come with it.
Right. That's true. That's true. But well, Manny, thank you for being here, man. That was a good time. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you've done for me personally, professionally. And yeah, thanks for coming on the show, man.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. I hope your audience loves the chat, and let's do it again someday soon.
Absolutely, my friend. Be well.
Take it easy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, dude. How long did I go?
You're technically not done yet. You gotta wrap up.
What do you mean?
You have to say, well, that was it.
We did.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we just said bye.
All right, word.
Yeah. How did we end?